Aaron Torres joining us from the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, Aaron Torres Sports Media, and Fox Sports Radio. Happy New Year, AT. What are your New Year's plans? And are you now I'll be honest with you here, and I've been upfront with the listeners about this. I'm a bit of a New Year's Grinch. I think it's an overrated holiday, too much pressure put on it. Not everybody feels that way, obviously. So where do you sit on New Year's Eve?
Well, I mean, obviously having the games today makes it a little bit different. I mean, they'll be over probably by, 9 Pacific time. But, it's pretty low-key. And, Phil, I have an interesting twist to this is that, I'm not crazy because I'm married, right? I'm in my 30s. I definitely had some fun on New Year's. But, I actually live in Pasadena, and I live about a 10-minute walk, a 5-minute walk from the Rose Parade route. So we tend to sleep till, I think the Rose Parade ends around noon Eastern. So we tend to sleep till about 7:30. We usually have some people over. And at least where we're living right now, and that's always subject to change, we usually walk over to the Rose Parade. So we'll definitely have some fun. We'll definitely stay up late. I am not a bottle service club kind of guy. The only bottle service I'm getting is straight out of my own freezer. But other than that, it's pretty low key. I'm not crazy. And honestly, many years Arnie Spanier and I have actually hosted Fox Sports Radio right up until midnight. Today I'll actually be on during the Alabama game, so I'll be off a little bit earlier. But even if I wasn't, I'm not a crazy. I'm not like. I'm not like one of those young whippersnappers that's out all night doing crazy stuff. So,
yeah, not like Drew over here, because he can do something like
I'm
that.
still young.
I want to ask you about the Rose. I want to ask you about the Rose Parade and its importance,
Sure.
in the Southern California sports culture, because I mean the Rose Bowl is so so stubborn about never leaving their slot. New Year's Day, I can't remember the exact time, but it's always got to be the same kickoff, and it's got to be a reason. And for me, it's the Rose Parade, man. I mean, it's part of the festivities, and I mean, we don't live in Southern California, but this is a huge portion of the Southern California sports culture. This is the reason why the Rose Bowl game won't ever move off January 1st, right?
Well, I don't know about that last part, Phil. I heard somebody pretty plugged in this week say that this will be the last year that the college football playoffs fall on the semifinal, because basically by the next time that it could potentially, or the playoff will fall on New Year's Eve, because by the next time that it could, there will be a new TV contract. And in the new TV contract, the powers that be in college football are basically going to say it's time to put up or shut up Rose Bowl and Rose Parade. But that's essentially it, man. I'll say this, dude, is like, I've lived here for about 5-6 years. I love it here. It's a beautiful community, all that good stuff. But I've never understood the idea that you can't play a game on a different day than the parade. And I would even take it a step further. It has happened before. I mean, I don't remember exactly all the details, but I'm pretty sure when New Year's Day falls on a Sunday, they don't play the Rose Bowl on a Sunday when it's going up against head-to-head with NFL football, but they still have the Rose Parade on New Year's Day. So it's not as though it is an unprecedented move. It's more of, yes, Bill, exactly what you said, is that basically that is the logic behind it, and frankly why it screws up the entire college football playoff calendar. But my understanding is this is the last year that they will be playing on New Year's Eve, but this is why they are playing on New Year's Eve, because of the Rose Parade.
Mm-hmm. And Aaron, next hour, me and Phil, we're going to do our top five and bottom five, I guess, of 2021 in sports. And one of my bottom fives, and you've been very vocal about it on social media throughout the last couple of weeks, have been COVID cancellations. What do you think the NCAA and universities need to start doing to get rid of these cancellations in 2022?
It's so tough, Drew. There's no answer, because unfortunately, I'm very vocal, but the reality is, Drew, it's so tough because every circumstance is a little bit like the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball. There's one person that can rubber stamp, we are changing this. And obviously there's players' unions and there's stuff like that. We have to agree to all that stuff. And so I only bring it up to just very simply say is that, when it comes to college, every conference has a different situation. Every state has, and every school has a different situation. It's really funny because, I was talking to somebody in the Pac-12 earlier this week about some of the cancellations for basketball that have happened. And they were telling me, even a school like Stanford has a completely different testing protocol as a university than like Arizona or Arizona State, which is much more liberal. And so it makes it so tough, guys. And listen, yes, I'm yelling and screaming. I probably should be more fair to the audience in that it's not a wave a magic wand thing, but I will say it seems as though everybody is following the CDC guidelines. It seems as though that kind of the CDC's decision to bump back the quarantine or the I don't know what the right term is, but the period of 5 days, I think that maybe will help college sports as well. Obviously, as far as testing is concerned and all that stuff, and I mean, testing positive is concerned. So I hope, Drew, but at some point, somebody's just going to have to say, we need to move on. And I certainly hope, and by the way, maybe it is the NFL and NBA leading the charge, and certainly the NFL would probably be the one to do it. And maybe once the NFL says, hey, we're not canceling, we're not letting people sit out of games just for testing positive for COVID, especially if they're asymptomatic, I would hope that maybe the colleges are able to follow suit. But it really, I hate to say it because I am very vocal about it, but it really is more complicated than one person. Even Mark Emmert, as much as I think he's incompetent at his job, even he can't just wave a magic wand and change everything overnight. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of college sports.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, and feel like we've been holding our breath getting to this day for the semifinals, especially after the NCAA came out with that it could possibly all end in forfeits last week. But now that we're here, how do you see these two matchups today finishing out, and who are we going to see in the Natty?
I'll tell you, the Alabama game is interesting. I really do think Cincinnati can keep things competitive. And part of it is, guys, and you guys saw Alabama late in the year. This is not a vintage Alabama team, or it wasn't up until that Georgia game. Now, my whole thing that I truly believe is that when you have a 12, 13-week sample size on a team, I don't believe that it just magically changes overnight. Now, I think teams can progressively get better, but Alabama was not progressively getting better over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 weeks leading into that Georgia game. So I think Cincinnati can keep it close. I'm not sold that they can actually win it. It's all the same reasons that Alabama always has success, late in games. It's because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're deeper, they're more physical, they have more NFL guys. And so that one, I think Alabama wins. I do think it could be a little bit closer than people anticipate. On the flip side, the Michigan-Georgia game is really interesting to me because, we talk kind of gambling spreads and that kind of stuff, and it seems like Vegas wants you to take Michigan. They're a 7.5-point favorite. I've seen, I think something like 75+% of the money is coming in on Michigan to cover. And I may be a total square, and I probably am. I like Michigan. I like Michigan to not only cover, I think they can win that game.
Wow.
And I'm the guy that, by the way, well, listen, I'm the guy that picked Georgia to win the national championship, so I want Georgia to win. I picked them to win the national championship in the preseason. But, Michigan, I think, look, no, they haven't seen anything quite like Georgia, but let's not act like Michigan didn't beat anybody either. One, I know it's not a huge deal, but the Big Ten is 5-0 in bowl games. They have a couple head-to-head wins against the SEC, and I know it's not a be-all, end-all, but I do think their teams are probably a little bit better. Wisconsin statistically was as good as Georgia in basically every defensive category. Michigan put up 38 points on them. Now, I will say I think it was like 21-10 going into the fourth quarter, and they piled on a bunch of points late. But, Iowa is a top 15 defense, and Michigan put up 42 points on them in the Big Ten championship game. So I look at this, and I think Michigan is going to have success, but I'm telling you, it also does concern me because it does seem like Vegas really does want they want you to take Michigan. The spread is 7.5, and they're basically begging you, come on, take Michigan. They can lose by a touchdown, and you still cover. And what I would also say to Drew really quick is, listen, we have a history that at least one of the college football semifinals, if not two, end up in blowouts. And, I don't know. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. But I like Michigan, but I am a little bit worried about that one as far as Georgia maybe kind of refining that mojo that they had for the first 12 weeks of the season.
So let's close out by completely overreacting to the first game of SEC League basketball games. Arkansas struggled mightily, but they were without J.D. Notae and in a building that historically they haven't had a lot of success in. Auburn is going to be the league champion, obviously, after blowing out LSU for their first loss. And the Alabama-Tennessee game was the best SEC basketball game of the year. So there you go. There's 3 overreactions for you, Aaron. Have at it.
Okay, well, Phil, unfortunately, you're fired. We're not going to allow you back in 2022 because I watched that entire Tennessee-Alabama game, and it was actually terrible. And, Alabama was awful for 39 minutes, and in typical Tennessee fashion, in a way, and Arkansas fans get mad at me for saying, but Tennessee is just the quirkiest, wackiest place ever where they completely control the game for 39 minutes and somehow end up losing, let alone what happened yesterday in their bowl game. But, I would say with the Hogs, really quick, I know we want to overreact. Everybody wants, it's what we do. But I would also say, you said it, Phil, J.D. Notae was not playing. We saw this team struggle early in SEC play last year. I'm not ready to give up on them. I want to see what they look like healthy. They seemed to really play well, really hit a stride against Elon a few weeks ago. I know it was Elon, or I think it was Elon. Terrible team. I'm not saying that's the game that we need to define the whole season on, but I want to see them healthy, and I want to see them as time goes on. But I understand the frustration of a Hogs fan today. Really quick, Phil, you're burying the lead. How's Tampa, man? And I've only been there once, but it's one of my favorite cities. I had a blast when I was there probably about 10 years ago.
Well, 9 stories above the channel here. It's beautiful in the hotel room. It's lovely. Really is. I mean, downtown seems to be a pretty exciting yet laid-back place at the same time. I've only been here for a day,
right?
So this is a really cool city. There's lots to do, great sports. And one of the interesting things about it, you just never realize it until you come here. This is a hockey town now. And it's not just a hockey town, but what do they call it? Tampa Bay, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. You got the Super Bowl champion.
And the Rays weren't that bad this year either.
Yeah, the Rays were good, but they won a division championship. So they got a ton of championships here. Man, I remember when Tampa Bay was like, they got the Bucks and that's it. And the Bucks used to suck. So this has been a completely changed sports city in the last 30 years.
You're burying the lead again. The original Hooters and the original Coyote Ugly Bar are both in Tampa as well. So I know what you'll be doing tonight, Phil. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I know it's an early kickoff, but listen, I'll say this. I was there for an NCAA tournament. It was a historic NCAA tournament, 2008 opening day, the only day where all 4 lower-ranked seeds pulled upsets. Unfortunately, UConn was on the wrong side of that when they lost to the University of San Diego, which was a 13 seed that year. UConn bounced back to make the Final Four the following year, so it worked out okay. But that was my one experience, but beautiful city. I hope you have a blast while you're there, Phil. Enjoy that Coyote Ugly Bar. That feels like you're seen. So, again, that's all I got. But I appreciate you guys having me. Have a happy New Year. I don't know if you have anything else, but I wanted to make sure because I love Tampa. I was only there once, but I had a blast.
BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.